Putin gripes about NATO as US deploys more troops to Europe.
Here's a summary of the article.
Putin offered his first reaction to the US and NATO responses to Russia's demands in a phone call with French President Emmanuel Macron after weeks of personal public silence on the simmering crisis. In a telephone call a day earlier, Biden warned Zelensky of a distinct possibility that Russia could take military action against Ukraine. A senior U.S. administration official said Washington welcomed Lavrov's comment on Russia not wanting war, adding, "We need to see it backed up by swift action." These would build on sanctions imposed on Russia since it annexed Crimea and backed separatists in eastern Ukraine in 2014, though there are divisions among Western countries about how to respond as Europe is dependent on Russia for energy supplies. The EU currently depends on Russia for approximately a third of its gas supplies, and there are fears that the Kremlin could use its energy dominance as leverage. Late on Friday, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin cautioned Russia that there is still time and space for diplomacy. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley also urged Russia to stand down and to pursue a resolution through diplomacy.
This post received a score of 3,100, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Whoa, journalists actually manage to use sensationalist buzzwords that isn't blasts, and slams. Now this is news.
NATO claps back against Putin.
Speak to the hand, because NATO don't want to hear it.
All the single nations, all the single nations.
Putin is definitely gonna put a ring on it, an iron one.
Same look my dog makes when I hide his toys.
This look? Uncanny.
Oh, is the authoritarian mad that people are standing up to him? Crimea fucking river. We should be Putin, our difference is Assad. And never rush into violence. You Hitler, nail on the head. No more Stalin. We need to find a way to pun Pinochet as well.
I hate your fucking puns that I gave both of you an upvote.
Putin deploys troops to Europe. NATO also deploys troops to Europe. Putin. Surprised Pikachu face.
He thought that his sexy abs and muscle flexing would woo them.
And they never will. I'm surprised he didn't also demand a golden bridge to the moon.
List of demands. 1. Wrap up Ukraine very nicely and put a little bow on top. 2. Use the polka dot wrapping paper, that's my favorite. 3. Don't forget to leave sweets and a thank you card. Daily Mail is already reporting that Biden and NATO have egg on their face cause Putin is now going to negotiate with France, Germany, and Ukraine in 2 weeks while not including US and NATO. Such a dumb way to spin it, cause what other choice does Putin have when US and NATO just called his bluff and backed him into a corner? Especially when Germany just came out and said NS2 is done if Putin invades.
IDK, I see that as a win for US and NATO. You claim we backed them into a corner? Fucking good. If everyone just turned a blind eye to Russia's troop buildup, who knows what they would have attempted. I'd rather put the pressure on and have this outcome than to downplay it all and then they invade.
I agree, I see it as win for the US and NATO also. That's my point. I think it's ridiculous that the Daily Mail is spinning it as Putin is making Biden, US, and NATO look bad. I see it as Putin running back to Germany with his tail between his legs cause he doesn't have much of a choice. Putin going ahead and invading Ukraine would only strengthen NATO emo. Not surprising that Daily Mail would spin it this way since they're a Murdoch-owned paper.
NATO didn't address the main threats. Maybe because they're fucking ridiculous demands. It's on par with, return Russia to pre-revolutionary state with czars and peasants. It's not feasible, desirable, or necessary.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.